You know that moment when two political heavyweights decide to turn a water pipe disaster into a full-contact sport? Yeah, we're there. Danielle Smith just fired a legal cannon at Calgary City Hall, demanding every single document related to the water crisis that's been making Calgarians shower like they're rationing supplies on Mars. And guess whose name keeps popping up in this mess? Naheed Nenshi. The guy who spent 11 years as Calgary's mayor and is now leading the Alberta NDP. This isn't just about broken pipes anymore, folks. This is about to become the political equivalent of a cage match, and I am absolutely here for it. Welcome back to Canadian Insights, where Canadian politics gets messy and we're your front row ticket to the chaos. Grab your popcorn, because the Smith versus Nenshi showdown is heating up faster than a Calgary summer, and trust me, you don't want to miss this. Let's set the stage here because this water crisis isn't some minor inconvenience. We're talking about a major water main that catastrophically failed, leaving over 1 million Calgarians on strict water restrictions for weeks. People couldn't water their lawns, had to take military-style showers, and the city basically became a giant PSA about conservation. Now, infrastructure fails sometimes, right? Pipes get old, stuff breaks. But here's where it gets juicy. This wasn't just bad luck or an act of God. According to Premier Danielle Smith and her government, this was negligence. Like, roll up your sleeves and find out who dropped the ball kind of negligence. And when Smith gets that look in her eye, the one that says someone's about to have a very bad day, you know she's coming with receipts. So she did what any premier with a bone to pick would do. She ordered Calgary City Hall to hand over everything. And I mean everything. We're not talking about a polite request for some meeting notes here. The provincial government wants all council records, plans, reports, budgets, media coverage, internal memos, probably somebody's coffee order if it mentioned the water main. They want the whole enchilada. Every piece of paper, every email, every sticky note that has anything to do with how this pipe went from functional to disaster movie in record time. And why? Because someone at the provincial level is about to go through all this material with a fine-tooth comb, looking for exactly who knew what and when they knew it. It's like a political forensic investigation, and the target is painted bright red on Calgary City Hall. Dan Williams, Smith's minister responsible for municipal affairs, isn't even trying to hide the fact that they're looking for someone to hold accountable. He's out here calling it extraordinary negligence at the political level. That's not bureaucrat speak for oopsie daisy. That's a declaration of war. Now here's where Naheed Nenshi enters stage left, probably wishing he could exit stage right. Nenshi was Calgary's mayor for 11 years. 11. That's more than a decade of ribbon cuttings, budget meetings, and yes, infrastructure decisions. So when the province starts digging into Calgary's water management history, Nenshi's fingerprints are going to be all over those documents whether he likes it or not. And Danielle Smith knows it. A couple of weeks ago, she didn't just vaguely gesture at City Hall incompetence. She got specific. She singled out Nenshi, visibly upset, and basically said he bears much of the blame for this mess. That's not a gentle nudge. That's a political haymaker. And Nenshi, who's now the leader of the Alberta NDP and Smith's main opposition, can't exactly ignore it. This isn't just about a water pipe anymore. This is about credibility, leadership, and who gets to control the narrative heading into what could be a very spicy election cycle. Let's talk about Dan Williams for a second because this guy is not playing around. He's Smith's municipal affairs minister, which means he's the guy tasked with dealing with cities, and right now, he's dealing with Calgary like a disappointed parent who just found out you lied about your report card. Williams came out swinging, saying anyone who insists there was no negligence is gaslighting Calgarians. Gaslighting. That's a strong word. He's not leaving any room for ambiguity here. He sees extraordinary negligence, and he wants someone to answer for it. But here's the kicker. Williams isn't just upset about the water crisis itself. He's upset about the deflection. He's calling out people who are trying to throw mud at the province, who are trying to change the channel and shift blame. And who does he mean by that? Well, he helpfully pointed out it's people who have been in municipal politics at an elected or administrative level through this time. Gee, I wonder who that could be. It's almost like he's reading from a list and Nenshi's name is in bold, underlined, and highlighted in neon yellow. The timing of all this is absolutely chef's kiss levels of political theater. Nenshi isn't just some retired mayor living his best life. He's the leader of the Alberta NDP, which means he's Danielle Smith's primary political opponent. Every time she takes a shot at him over the water crisis, it's not just about accountability. It's about weakening him politically. And Nenshi knows it. He's been trying to position himself as the sensible alternative to Smith's brand of conservatism, the guy who ran Calgary successfully for over a decade and knows how to get things done. Except now, Smith is flipping that narrative on its head. She's saying, "Oh, you ran Calgary for 11 years? Cool. Let's talk about how the water infrastructure fell apart on your watch." It's a political judo move, using his experience against him. And if those documents the province is demanding show anything even remotely damaging, you better believe Smith's team is going to blast it from every rooftop in Alberta. But let's pump the brakes for a second and talk about what this actually means for Calgarians, because at the end of the day, this isn't just a political food fight. Real people dealt with real consequences from this water crisis. Businesses lost money. Families had to ration water. The city's reputation took a hit. So the question of whether this was preventable actually matters. If the documents show that city officials knew the infrastructure was at risk and didn't act, that's a problem. If they show budget decisions that prioritized other projects over critical water main maintenance, that's a problem. If they show negligence, incompetence, or just plain bad governance, then yeah, someone should be held accountable. The province isn't wrong to ask questions. But here's the thing. This could also be a political fishing expedition. Demand every document, hope something sticks, and use whatever you find to pummel your opponent. It's not exactly a new strategy in politics. So the real question is, what will those documents actually reveal? And let's not forget the optics here. Danielle Smith is going after Naheed Nenshi hard, and Nenshi is one of the most recognizable political figures in Alberta. He's charismatic, he's got name recognition, and he's got a base of support, especially in Calgary. Smith is betting that tying him to the water crisis will damage him enough that it neutralizes his threat. But it's a risky play. If the documents don't reveal anything significant, or if it looks like the province is just engaging in a political hit job, it could backfire. Calgarians might see it as Smith picking fights instead of focusing on solutions. And Nenshi, who's pretty good at political counterpunching, isn't going to sit there and take it quietly. He's already pushing back, defending his record, and trying to frame this as the province playing politics while Calgary needs help. It's a battle of narratives, and whoever controls that narrative is going to have a big advantage. Dan Williams saying he's ready to rumble if anyone has a problem with what the province is doing is honestly iconic. That's not the usual bland political speak we're used to. That's straight up bring it energy. He's daring critics to come at him, and you know what? Some of them will. The Alberta NDP is going to defend Nenshi. Calgary City Council is going to push back on the idea that they were negligent. And the media is going to have an absolute field day with all of this. Williams is betting that the province has the high ground here, that the documents will vindicate their position, and that any pushback will look like defensiveness from people who screwed up. But if he's wrong, if the province looks like it's overreaching or politicizing a legitimate infrastructure issue, then he's just handed ammunition to his opponents. Politics is chess, and Williams just moved his queen into the middle of the board. Bold, but dangerous. Here's the broader context that makes this even more fascinating. Alberta politics right now is a powder keg. Danielle Smith and the UCP are in power, but the NDP under Nenshi is positioning itself as a credible alternative. The next election is going to be a slugfest, and both sides are trying to define each other before voters make up their minds. Smith wants to paint Nenshi as a failed mayor who can't manage a city, let alone a province. Nenshi wants to paint Smith as divisive, reckless, and more interested in fighting than governing. This water crisis is a proxy battle for that larger war. It's not really about the pipe. It's about trust, competence, and who Albertans believe can lead. Every document the province digs up, every press conference, every social media jab, it's all part of that bigger fight. And honestly, it's riveting. So what happens next? Well, Calgary is going to hand over those documents because they don't really have a choice. The province has the authority to demand them. Then someone, probably multiple someones, is going to spend weeks going through thousands of pages looking for smoking guns. If they find something damaging to Nenshi or City Hall, it's going to leak faster than, well, a broken water main. If they don't, the province is going to have to decide whether to admit they came up empty or spin whatever they found into something politically useful. Meanwhile, Nenshi is going to keep defending his record, the NDP is going to accuse the UCP of distraction tactics, and Calgarians are just going to want their water infrastructure fixed so this doesn't happen again. It's messy, it's complicated, and it's exactly the kind of political drama that defines Canadian politics. Alright, let's wrap this up. Danielle Smith just went full scorched earth on Calgary City Hall and Naheed Nenshi, demanding documents and calling out negligence like she's auditioning for a legal drama. Nenshi, who spent 11 years as mayor, is right in the crosshairs, and this water crisis just became the political battle of the year in Alberta. Dan Williams is ready to fight anyone who pushes back, and honestly, this whole thing is about to get even more intense. If you're not subscribed to Canadian Insights yet, what are you waiting for? We're breaking down Canadian political chaos multiple times a day so you never miss a beat. Hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and drop a comment telling me who you think comes out on top in this fight. Is Smith about to bury Nenshi with evidence, or is this a political overreach that's going to backfire? Let's debate. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay sharp, stay informed, and never trust a politician who says everything's fine.